So who won the Fox News GOP debate? Of course, this is the last debate before the Iowa caucus, which is today. Now, in my opinion, on substance, it's Rand Paul hands down. It's not even close. The sad part of this is that's fairly irrelevant to the GOP, so it doesn't even really matter that Rand Paul was more factual than anybody else on stage, and he said way more intelligent things. He made really strong arguments, man. There's no denying that, in my opinion. But again, I don't know how much of an impact that has in a Republican primary race. Now, on the issue of style, I actually think that Chris Christie did a fantastic job. Again, that probably won't matter because he's so far back in the polls anyway. But when you look at it through the lens of just style, I think he filled the role of the faux straight shooter that he always tries to play, where as everybody else is bickering over personal stuff, he interjects with, well, I'm the ideas guy, and I care about the people at home. I don't care about this interpersonal nonsense here, and I get stuff done, and I'm a governor in a liberal state who happened to get conservative priorities through, and yada, yada, yada. Again, I don't think it's going to matter that, in my opinion, he did well, but he did do well. Now, in terms of the polls, I want to jump right into that here because we have the Time poll, which has the following results. Number one, so finishing first in the debate, is Trump, even though he wasn't there. He got 52% of the vote. Rand Paul came in second, so I guess I was wrong about what I said before. Some people indeed did think, yeah, he won because he made the most sense. 21% for him. Marco Rubio had 12%. He comes in third fairly comfortably. Then we have Ted Cruz at 7%. We have Jeb Bush at 4%, which may be his best showing yet. And everybody else is off the cliff of irrelevancy and in Nowheresville. Now, when you go to the Iowa polls specifically, which is really more important in this broader conversation, you're beginning to see a picture of how it's going to unfold there. Now, again, the Iowa caucus is tonight. I want to give you guys a little preview as to how people are sitting in the polls, specifically in Iowa. The national polls reflect this to one degree or another, but to be clear, Trump has a much larger lead nationally than he does in Iowa, although he is leading in Iowa. So when you get specifically to the Iowa polls, Trump is 28.6%. He's leading. Cruz is number two at 23.9%. Rubio's at 16.9%. Carson's at 7.7%. Rand Paul's at 4.1%, tied with Bush, who's also at 4.1%. Huckabee's at 3.1%. And then you have Kasich, Fiorina, Christie, and Santorum lagging way behind. Now, Iowa really does have a trend of, on the Republican side at least, voting for people that do not end up being successful in the long run. So, the last election, I believe they voted for, was it Santorum or Huckabee? I actually forget which was which, but in the last two election cycles, they voted for Huckabee one year, Santorum the other year, and we know how they ended up faring in the election overall. So, based off that, and the fact that Donald Trump doesn't really have a strong ground game in Iowa, he's not there a lot. The other candidates have basically set up shop there and are really busy there all the time. Based off of that, I'm going to go ahead and say that I personally think Cruz is going to win in Iowa. How much of an effect will that have on the overall election? Probably not much, because like I said, if history is any indication here on the Republican side, that person does not go on to win the nomination. Now, by the time you're watching this video, you might already know who won the Iowa caucus, and perhaps I'm dead wrong. But also, perhaps I'm right, and we'll see. But if Donald Trump does win in Iowa, I do think that it's going to be hard for anybody to beat him in the long run. Now, again, I know this kind of contradicts what I said before about how Iowa has a history of not picking the Republican who ends up getting the nomination. But if Trump does win in Iowa, I think that trend might change because he has such a giant lead everywhere else that it's hard to even fathom anybody overcoming it. And it's sad to say, but it's true if you look at the numbers and if you believe in facts. So we're going to find out, man. But my prediction is that you'll probably have Cruz win, and then Trump and Rubio will be close behind, and then everybody else, it's a toss-up. Who the fuck knows where they're going to finish? Now, on the Democratic side, it really is a coin flip. I mean, it's basically 50-50. When you look at all the polls, you see some polls Hillary's winning, some polls Bernie Sanders is winning. And with this one, I think that if Bernie wins, it's going to help him so much in the long run because he'll get much more press. They have to cover him if he wins Iowa. And this is what happened with Obama. If I'm not mistaken, I think Obama beat Hillary in the Iowa caucus the last time around, and Obama went on to get the nomination. And historically, we know that as of right now, Bernie's actually doing better in the national polls than Obama was against Hillary, and Obama went on to become president. So it's really, really interesting. It's a fascinating day that we have today for politics. And there's my general breakdown of the Republican debate here and what I think is going to happen in Iowa, but we'll know very soon.